shedding a tear for my brother. I really wanna try for my brother, 'cause I truly do feel for my brother. And since they lied to my brother, I'll teach them.
Yo!
One swig.
All I need is one swig. Yo, what it is, what it do, how are you? It is
What
us,
it is.
The AMS crew, coming to you with another episode of the InforMILLy Honest podcast. Welcome the fuck back.
Yo, one second. Can I interrupt you really quick? Just let the people know what AM stands for. Let the people know what AM stands for real quick.
So AMS has two meanings. It was originally everybody's name until I came along and was like, hey, I want to be a part of the group. And so then we made it everybody. And then we was like, well, I'm making nicknames and then I could take the S. No. So it's Aaron, Adam, Marcus, and Stretch. But nicknames is A-Dub, AJ, Marco, Stretch. And then Adam and what was it, like 06, 07, around there?
It was like 07, 08 time frame.
Okay. 07, 08, Adam, when we made our first attempt at making a clothing line, Adam came up with the genius idea, All-American Mother Suckers. And so that's where it evolved to.
It sounds so sweet.
It does, even though I hate this fucking country.
Yeah, I might say over time my views
Over
have
time,
shifted.
My bad. It's too hot.
You gotta change it again.
It didn't age as well as we wanted.
Yeah.
But all in all, yeah, we are the AMS crew. I know it's the first time I'm really saying that formally, but if you've looked at us on Spotify, you've noticed that's been our producer title. So in case you wondered, we're the AMS crew.
Also,
so
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt.
It's normal. I mean,
I'm so sorry, Josh. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, since we were talking about the origins,
yes.
people might say, like, well, where does the name Stretch comes from? And that's important.
Good point. Because I guess everybody else's name is like an offset of their name. Stretch was because back in my younger years, I used to have the young fro, and because we all frequented PlayStation games, there was a character by the name of Stretch on NBA Street, especially NBA Street Volume 2. And I was likened to the character Stretch as pretty much as a tall, skinny black kid with an afro. Any character that had an afro, I was called that person. So it was Stretch, it was Afro Thunder, So yeah, Stretch was a name that I just held on to. Funny enough, especially because I'm a dancer, people are like, "Oh, it's because you dance." I'm like, "No, it actually has nothing to do with dance whatsoever." Yeah, it was just what was the name of Stretch's move?
Man.
True.
That finger
it wasn't. Was it dinner served or?
I think so.
Serving it up.
Dinner served.
Dinner served.
I don't know.
I can't remember what his actual move was. Oh well, but yeah. So here at the InforMILLy Honest podcast, I know I do a lot of things with my hands. You get over it. Here at the InforMILLy Honest podcast, we are four brothers from the Gary, Indiana neighborhood. From neighborhood of Miller in Gary, Indiana. Words. What are those? And so we grew up together since we were in our adolescent years, and we made sure that even post high school, when we all went our separate ways and pursued various life journeys, we stayed connected. And in the era of the podcast, and especially in quarantine, we were like, this seems like a good time as any to record these excellent to us conversations that we have, and hopefully include you in on it. And the through line for all those conversations has always been, no matter what, before it was subconscious, and now we make a conscious effort to be forthright, vulnerable, and most of all, honest. And so, red alert. We've been telling y'all motherfuckers to write us a goddamn email for all this time. And
we got one.
We got one. So I'm gonna read off our first email, and then we're gonna unpack it. Okay. So
All right.
excuse me as I put on my reading voice. This comes from she was asked to be referred to as Abeo. Hey, love the podcast, guys. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna read my voice. Hey, love the podcast, guys. There seems to be a lot of varying opinions in regards to the massive quote unquote wokeness of non-black / white people. A lot of individuals seem to be sharing posts on social media, protesting worldwide, and educating themselves on systematic racism. Do you think that? Ooh, excuse me.
Wait, hold
Do you
on.
think most
When you say non-black / white, are you talking about mixed people like myself?
I think more so they're talking
No,
about.
I know.
Speak wisely, pal.
I'm just fucking with y'all.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing to clear up for those who don't know, because there is that argument, and we can unpack it now or unpack it later, that black people should not be included among the rhetoric of POC.
Wait, what? You said black
People of color.
Be?
Black people should not be considered among those classified as people of color, because too often people of color or the notion of people of color puts white people as the standard, and then everybody else becomes if you look at it like a almost even like the solar system. White people are the sun, and then black folks are Pluto, and everybody else is everybody in between.
Okay.
And so people qualify themselves on that color spectrum in their proximity to whiteness, as well as their juxtaposition to blackness.
Oh, well, you put it
And
like that.
most of that time, and so inside of that, it's a thing of why are we included among people of color when most people who are classified as people of color got whatever they got on the backs of black people, and at the same time do that same shit that the white power system has done of wrongdoings toward black people.
And I rarely hear people claim like I rarely hear people say I'm a person of color, or refer to a group as a people of color. That's just me. I rarely hear that.
I hear it all the time on at least in my social circles.
I hear like people in news in the media world use that sometimes, but not
because it gets deemed as like the politically correct way to put it.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think people scared of saying black and those type of things.
Yeah,
or they just kind of want to lump everybody into one thing to say, oh, this is a general term. That way I cover all bases.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if y'all want to unpack that notion, and you go like, okay, that's an interesting perspective, and let's continue with the email.
It's interesting. I just never really thought about it that way, but
yeah, I don't really have nothing to unpack about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let y'all melanate on that, and then continue with the email. So Abeo continues with, do you think most of this is coming from a genuine place, or do you think I don't know why I can't read today. Or do you think some non-black / white people want to be seen as quote unquote good and not racist, and are simply joining a bandwagon? Why a sudden desire to rally for black people and police brutality when this type of brutality has been circulating? Well, always. Is this viral component of sharing on social media creating a trend to support black people? Or do you believe it's coming from a genuine desire to seek racial equality and justice for black people? Okay. So there's a lot of questions in there, and it's a pretty dense layer of questions. So whatever jumps at you, go ahead for that.
I think there's a lot of answers in there too, because like for one, I think all of those are right. You know, like some people may have not have really cared at first, but this is the result of people's attention shifting. And I feel like a lot of people are, you know, who cared a little in the past are now actually getting the information or doing the research and or actually, you know, if they didn't feel like it was enough in the past, for some reason now they do. But I feel like it's a mixed bag of all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. I do believe that there are people that sincerely. I mean, I would probably say most people care. I'm not gonna be like they're pretending to care. I would say most people can see that video of George Floyd dying, and like most people can see that and like, dang, that's messed up. So I'm gonna say that, and then, but I also believe that as we just know, social media is just good for this. I do believe there's a segment of people, if that's even the right word, but there's a bunch of people out there that are kind of sharing it because everyone else is sharing it, and they got to feel like, well,
Just following
damn,
the masses.
now I have
like
to
they
stop
do.
posting selfies, so you know, I can be looked at like I care, especially the like the influencer people. And I'm not saying this for everybody, but I wonder how many people that's in that influencer, status, whatever, are like, man, I want to post this ad about tummy tea and I can't because it's going to be looked at as insensitive. Or like that day that the blackout, like I wonder how many people were like disappointed that they couldn't share their throwback. I'm not saying it was a Thursday, but their equivalent to a throwback Thursday travel photo or something. Like, man, I want to share that today. Or like something similar.
I would say definitely. There's a lot of those.
But for me, I think the thing that I guess drives me insane about this is it's like people. I think there's this. Also, I feel like there's a portion of people that really believe like this is like. I'm not the first time. Everyone knows it's not the first time, but and I don't want to play like the pain Olympics or anything like, oh, this is worse than that time or this is worse than that time. But I feel like people really think like this is like the worst thing that has happened in a long time. When in fact it's like this is like monthly. I mean, maybe even weekly. We don't know about the every case because everything isn't recorded.
Everything isn't recorded, right?
So, and for me, it's just frustrating because like, in fact, I wasn't in my car, but I was driving someone else's car, and their radio was playing whatever, and I was listening to whatever was playing when I got in, and there's these two guys talking what I would assume would be a white guy and a black guy, just based off what we know about voices. So I didn't hear what the black dude said necessarily, but I'm assuming he was talking about his experience being black. No, I did catch the tail end. He was saying that he's never been in a situation where the cop showed up and things got better. Like almost every time that a cop had been involved in his life, whatever situation there was, that situation got worse when the cop showed up. And then the guy he was talking to, he was saying like, wow, like that's such a, interesting perspective. And I can't believe that, this is the reality for a lot of people. I'm like, and for me, I just felt like that was a BS reaction because like we've been telling y'all this for decades. Like they don't treat us the same. Like it's like we've been screaming this at the top of our lungs for decades, and like people have been calling us over dramatic, race baiters, playing a race card, looking for a handout, or even just fill in the blank. And now all of a sudden, people are like, "Man, we didn't know it was that bad." But like we've been saying this.
See, what I feel like once people are forced to talk about it, then now is all of a sudden true.
Yeah.
And
go ahead, Aaron.
I think people have to, I don't want to say be ready for it, but they have to be receptive to even hear that, to even to even risk anything really. That to be moved. It has to, like, perhaps in that conversation, it felt like it was more direct for it, like it hit closer to home for him, or he was just ready to hear it. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, I think I've asked this question before too, is like, what's more important, or is one more important than the other? What somebody's saying or how they're saying it. And I think that plays a big role in how people are receiving things, or if they're even open to receiving things.
I don't think in this particular juncture, whatever one is the correct way to use, I don't think that you can separate them. I think that what you say and how you say it both fucking matter, because in this particular time, I don't want to hear no, well, I didn't mean it that way. Then think about it before you fucking said it. It's really that simple. And as far as do I think it's all genuine, or do I think, or how do people go, I never knew about it? I don't have a tolerance for that at this point. There's no fucking way. And especially if you have Black people in your life, and even if you don't, but especially if you got Black folks in your life, with love to them, it matters what you say and how you say it, because I don't have a tolerance for a negligence of either at this point, a negligence toward consideration of either, and I can't give any kind of credence to, well, we didn't know, I never knew it was this bad, or any of that bullshit, because I'm like, as Adam said, the collective Black populace has been telling you for decades, has been trying to explain this to you, and for you to just have that kind of cognitive dissonance and then expect me to be sympathetic to it, yeah, fuck you. And with all love to them, I have had plenty of white friends that have reached out to me in this time that have been, like, oh man, I could never know what you're going through, and white and non-Black, that have reached out trying to give love and all of that, and I'm like, yo, I haven't responded to any of them, because I'm like, nah, I'm not necessarily trying to question whether or not this is genuine. I'm not giving this energy to you.
But because I'm not trying to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in reference to the question, is a part where he or she says,
we said she Abeo.
Oh, okay. She says, where is a long question? Okay. I'm trying to find it in the question. Okay. It says, is the viral component of sharing on social media creating a trend to support Black people? Or do you believe it's coming from a genuine desire to, etc.?
I think both.
Right. And I think that, well, what you were saying is bringing up like that subject, because I think the proof is in what happens after this dies down a little bit.
Yep.
Is like, are y'all still going to be for that cause? Because, and what's interesting about it is that, do we care if it's viral or not? If it's having the same, I mean, we want people to be genuinely, after this cause, but at the same time, sometimes the viral shit is what makes stuff accessible for everybody.
Yeah, I think the virality can help.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna take that probably.
It's a thing of virality usually leads to, like, you know how people crash after drinking coffee? Yeah. For that, it got that little bit of energy, but then the crash ends up being like devastating. And so it's that thing of, what do you do? Not even what do you do after? What are you actually doing right now? Because if you're just there's nothing wrong with just doing social media stuff if you are also doing other things. Everybody don't got to be on the front lines, even though I am very much for white folks get on the front lines, get your body in the way of Black bodies.
I guess what I'm saying is that, and I know Aaron didn't really respond yet, so
Yeah.
we got it. But
It's cool. I mean,
the I guess like I'm harping on the word trend because it's like any other time we can make it a trend for us to be aware of animals or nature, or to bring more awareness to other issues.
Yeah.
But it's like it may suck to say the word trend, but it still could bring some change. So I'm not fully out of ruling that out, even though it's not, if everybody may not be genuine, it still helps.
I feel that same way, yo. I'm all for a trend. I'd rather it be a trend in this regard than something else, because something might stick. Even if it's a fad, something might stick that could like change for the better. It's better than a trend of people burning crosses or some shit like that. Like
I don't know if that was a trend, but
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm giving an example.
Yeah.
A lot of people may have did that who wasn't really into that before.
Yeah.
Y'all sounding real sympathetic here.
At the same time, I don't ever want to discount the possibility that somebody really could be changing. I agree with you guys' initial statement that it's probably all of that. I feel like in almost any regard, there's always going to be people in different corners with their own agendas and whatnot. I mean, that's probably you could discuss any topic and have a varying amount of, perspectives or whatever on it. But I think my overall feeling about it is I don't ever want to discount the fact that somebody could change, and I don't want to discount when it's right for them to change or not. When it comes, and I'm grateful for that shit. Ideally sooner than later, but my sooner than later might not mean that the person's ready.
But that's what this whole time is showing us, that we don't really care if y'all ready or not. It's coming. I think that's what really is going on right now. Is like, it's been enough examples. It's been enough, all of that.
Yeah. I guess honestly, if I'm being frank, I don't think. Okay, so let's say racism is gone. Our problems ain't gonna end. I think it's still gonna be. We're gonna find some other reason to war or argue or all that shit.
But here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
that's a little bit of a moot point. Not to cut you off, Aaron.
I'm serious though.
but it's a thing. It's a thing of to be like, well, if we get rid of racism, then we still got other problems. Of course, that's just the matter of growth. You have to have challenges in order to get beyond them. But
I agree with that. But
literally every evil that America is built on is connected to racism. Capitalism is connected to racism. Colonialism is connected to racism. Like there's to get rid of racism does how should I say, not alleviate, but like it eradicates so many other systems.
I would agree with that. What I was saying is like in regards to actually getting rid of it and like actual change. I think it's something more than just. It's perhaps a different approach. If it's been this long and it hasn't worked, perhaps we could take a different approach.
I don't know if it's approach if because approach will put it on approach to how should I say? Approach kind of puts the blame of a lack of change on Black people.
I can see where you're coming from with that. I can see what you're saying with that.
Because if we talk specifically, which approach haven't we tried? I think we did trial and error with that in the civil rights era, which probably is not over.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But I'm saying, we could say, like, it'll take the trial and error of the Black Panther Party. They assassinated Fred Hampton. Take the trial and error of Black Wall Street. They bombed it. It's a thing. It's a thing of to say, like, we didn't try these things. We always try shit, and then it gets destroyed, and then fear sets in for a couple generations.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying. I think racism in general is a bigger problem. That's just one of the issues of a bigger problem, is what I'm saying. And once I figure that out, I'll let you know. But and I think until we approach that bigger problem, I don't see racism going anywhere. Is what I'm saying. So I guess we'll be having more of these talks.
It's embedded. It's embedded in the fabric of how this country is built on. The education system. There's no way to graduate.
So that's what I'm saying.
Not be
Are we attacking the racism or figuring out what the bigger problem is and going for, I guess we're doing a sum of both, but
that's what I'm saying though. I'm not sure what you're referring to as the bigger problem when the common denominator of every problem is the racism.
Well, I would like a day when we don't focus so much on, but just in general, we stop putting so much power or energy into race in general. Like it would be nice. It would be nice for me.
That's possible.
Personally, it'd be nice for me. It'd be nice. I just don't. To me, it promotes like the whole issue, or one of the whole issues of racism is separate. Like me and them, me against them. That's somebody outside of me. That's somebody different than me. And to approach it, it feels like we haven't found a way to approach it, to even attack it without coming from some part of that same angle.
I mean, I feel you.
Yeah, like that's the best way to say. That's what to say.
That's what I'm saying. I feel you. It would be a great idealism to live in a world that is not influenced by simple bigotries or even complex bigotries and whatnot. Because what it does irritate me to a degree when I hear about people from other countries and whatnot, and they talk about how they don't have these particular issues. They have their prejudices, but they think they're not rooted in race. When you can go to any country and see that the darker people of that country are the most oppressed. And so the racism or racism and especially bigotries born out of colorism, etc., are so rooted in kind of the what's the word, like the human deficiency of needing to find some kind of superiority to another person.
Yeah, to me. Yeah, that just sounds like me versus them. You know, that person is not me, so therefore they're so and so.
Was it Rick and Morty? Like there was an episode where there was like a race war between these aliens. Like this group had cone nipples and another group had oval nipples, and they were like, kill that cone nipple bastard or some shit. And you're like, that thing is really irrelevant. The construct of a race is a humongous detriment to this country, and around the world. But it is unfortunately is a construct that too many people put too much stock in, and so we're unfortunately affected by it.
Yeah. Hey, I would love to hear Adam's take on.
And I've been talking too much. Shut up.
Yeah,
but
I feel like you were moved to say something earlier.
Yeah, I kind of forgot what it was, but I can freestyle it from until it comes back. But
we'll throw on a beat for you real quick.
Let me get a beat. Freeway reference. I would just say this, like, I mean, I know you guys were saying, like, you know, eradicating racism and all that. It's not funny. The crazy thing is this whole situation is about police brutality, which is just a small slither of that pie when it comes to racism. Like there's so many other categories that needs to be like handled. That's why it's like it's almost what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost, to me, in my mind, it's just like I just feel defeated already, because it's like there's all of these things. I posted something about it the other day on Facebook of all of these different things besides police brutality that, you know, if people are going to speak up, well, y'all can help by speaking up on these other things too. Like just to name a few. It's like
that was a great sentiment that you had posted.
It was just to name a few for people who didn't see the post. It was like, you know, I'm paraphrasing, like, you know, while everyone's white friends are ready to speak up on behalf of Black people, can we have them also speak about, and I listed a bunch of things, but some of them were like the school to prison pipeline. I didn't even say mass incarceration, which is crazy that I forgot that one. Like, it's such a long list of things, but redlining, stop and frisk, which isn't legal. It never should have been legal, but they don't do that anymore in New York City. But it still affects people today, from people that got arrested back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a lot of things where it's like, and I said this to Kirsten the other day. I was like, you know what's so crazy about this is if police brutality stopped tonight, tomorrow our lives wouldn't change because we still have all these other things to deal with. Right. The only difference is we wouldn't be getting killed by the police or beat by the police. But that's the only thing that would change. Like, our wealth wouldn't change, our education system wouldn't change. That's just one thing. And as grim and as, you know, party pooper as that sounds, while everyone is ready to revolt and be in this revolution, it's just true.
Yeah.
It's like
I feel like in order for police brutality to change, a perception and a lot of other things have to change before that. And I mean, we all know it's not going to happen all at once because it hasn't.
That's what I'm saying. How long?
But I mean, like, I guess in my mind, I ask myself, like, what do we want from people who are not going, you know, through this or don't have to confront this in their everyday life? And like, one of the things I really just think, it may sound simple, but one of the things I think is very important for them to do is to allow Black people to be a part of their life. Like, not to go out and just find a Black friend for the hell of it, but just like,
because you need them for a basketball team. Yeah,
right. A lot of people are just selective about who they encounter and deal with in their everyday life. And if people would just do that small thing, I think they'll understand, because it's just when you talk to some people, it's just an ignorance there that is kind of you can't comprehend the certain level of ignorance that people have, and it's because they choose not to be exposed to other culture, or, you know, whatever reasons of what's been passed down to them in their generational, you know, shit. They just they don't integrate with other cultures, and that's a big problem, because you're not going to.
I agree.
A lot of times they don't have to.
But
I think. Yeah, I'm sorry.
but the thing is, how do you have empathy for someone you don't understand at all? And it should be a human. It should be built in, but obviously that's not it. I mean, you know, it's not true.
You can pick people of any races,
and it's not, you know,
built in.
we could talk about what it should be, but what I'm saying is,
I agree.
What I'm saying is, those people have to make a conscious effort to go outside of their comfort zone and allow people who are not like them or who don't look like them or don't share the same experience to influence their life in some sort of way. Because we all know the more culture, well, I think we should know that the more culture we absorb, the more we understand about ourselves and the world in general. So it's
I
like
agree with that.
that ignorance is coming from either a completely racist point of view or just a lack of understanding for other cultures
Yeah,
and
I
what
was.
The
people go
ignorance.
through outside of their self, outside of their bubble, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's that comfort zone for sure, man. Like I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and like it's harder to even be inspired or to even be open to take certain approaches if you're always walking like taking half strides because you're uncomfortable about a particular thing until you address like being willing to be uncomfortable or whatever is making you uncomfortable. It's going to be hard to do any real change because you won't like you'll always walk up just close enough before you're pushed too far, and you won't like it doesn't feel like you would even be inspired to even take to like to ask what's next or how can I really help because you're so focused on your own discomforts.
What's
I think it's
crazy is everybody wants the African American culture, but when it comes to
People.
getting to know what it really is, like you just want that distance and enough to seem cool.
Right.
and nobody trying
Keep,
yeah, and
keep,
nobody
keeping black culture at arm's length is, just it's an American pastime in which you're like, oh, I want to be influenced by all the things that come out of black culture. But when it comes to black people,
Yeah, it'll be easy for them to go think about something else at this point. At this point of right now, what's going on in the media.
yeah.
It will be
But
easy for
It's
those
like
people to do that.
a big thing is I think or at least what I'm seeing anyway, between especially via social media, but what has always kind of been the case is a lot of white people are being approached with a simple fact that you are all racist. In that same way that we all have some form of prejudice or bigotry that's embedded in us by the way we were raised, especially inside this country. And knowing that it's okay that you're racist, but what are you doing about it? Because being racist has been painted in such a way that they're like, oh no, because I'm not some hick from the bayou that will lynch a motherfucker in a second, that I can't be racist. When it's like, no, you benefit from the system and you have a slew of racist thoughts, practices, and etc. that you enable all day, every day, and it's okay. But what do you and so now that you've accepted that fact, if you can say, hey, I am a racist, but I'm working on these things, so I am working vehemently against the social programming that made me racist.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting that you say that. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, Neil Brennan. And if you
Oh, I
don't
saw
know
that.
who, yeah, it was really interesting. If you don't know who Neil Brennan is, he's a stand-up comedian.
And
He
the
worked on the Chappelle Show.
the co-creator of Chappelle Show.
Yeah, which is about to make my next statement very interesting. So,
stay tuned.
so he made this post on Instagram, and the caption was like, "I'm a racist." That was the caption. And then he went on to say that now whether what he's saying is factual or not, I mean that's up for debate. But his beliefs are, he believes that everyone is not necessarily racist, but everyone has some type of prejudice towards somebody, whether it's the color of their skin, whether it's their sexual orientation, whether it's the fact that they're rich or not, whether they're poor, like their age, weight, whatever. And he was saying that it's okay to be that, as long as, kind of what Josh was saying, as long as you are working on that. Because he was saying that, like, I guess this is his words. He was saying, I guess, like when you see somebody, your brain has a kind of like a knee jerk reaction, like, oh, a black person, or oh, a Mexican person, or a white person, and then you have to, I guess, tell yourself like, okay, it's just a person, they're fine, they're not going to attack me, etc.
Right.
Like I said, I mean, he said a lot of things in that video. Some I agree with, some I don't. But it was very interesting him making that statement, because I'm sure 99% of celebrities would never come out and be like, I'm a racist, and just let it fly.
Yeah.
Like that. I
think
don't think
about
he's a racist. I know what he meant by that. I don't think Neil Brennan is a racist, but I know what he meant.
But no, that's what I'm saying though. It's a thing of, do I think that Neil Brennan has like genuine hatred toward black people? Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
he was raised inside of the United States of America. He's a racist, and it's fine, because the work that he does, like the work that he does publicly and personally, I'm sure works very much against that social programming. And I'm sorry if I'm bogarting the subject. I'll shut the fuck up in a minute.
No, it's all good, man. Go ahead.
But there's another example of speaking toward my own embedded bigotries and whatever. I made a post about yesterday, but just to speak to it, George Floyd is one of the many deaths that have happened in the past 2 weeks, right? One being what this was toward was a young lady by the name of Iana Dior, I hope I'm saying her name right, who is a trans woman who was beaten by like a gang of dudes while protesting for George Floyd.
That's pretty ironic.
And that's what, and it's that thing of
were they? I'm sorry, I'm not. Were they cops? Who were these dudes who beat them?
They were just straight dudes that were also at the protest and pretty much went after and beat the shit out of her because she's a trans woman.
Now that shows another issue in our community,
and that's a major hypocrisy in our community. Is that while we have all of these conversations and having all these revolutions for to fight against the bigotries against us, we'll quickly go enact some bigotry against another person who finds themselves at a crossroads of intersectionality just because we don't agree with that thing.
That's why it's some fucking human issue. It's some goddamn. You got to play devil's advocate with yourself all the time. It feels like I'm always doing it in regards to like wanting somebody to change. It's obvious. I don't know how much more obvious it can get to like stop fucking being racist. It's not cool. There's nothing. There's nothing that has ever worked about it. The shit. It's obvious.
That's not true.
I mean, no. It depends on what you're going for. What's your angle? Yeah. If your angle is peace and prosperity for all, then no. Yeah. But it depends on what you're going for. Works for all. I should say that. There's nothing that has ever worked for all. But it's so obvious, and it still hasn't worked. So clearly, there's some other. Like I ask myself all the time when I want somebody to change. Like if somebody came up and asked me to change, how long would it take and how much resistance would I give them myself? I know it's certain things that I haven't changed or that I need to change that would take me a long time. So I try to put that in perspective when I before you expect something from somebody else, expect it from yourself is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like. Yeah. That to me seems the most fair and like practical approach, because as good as all this ideal stuff sounds, it's not a reality, you know?
Yeah, and I'm my bad to backtrack, but just to finish the thing I was saying earlier, I was raised Baptist, Christian, etc., all that kind of stuff, Black community, have all those, and was raised inside all of those homophobic bigotries. But beyond the fact that I work in an industry that is very dominated by the queer community, it is a thing of nothing in me that computes. Like nothing in me says that here's a person also fighting for the right to live against a brutal police system. Let me go beat their ass because they have this. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. That person is fighting for their right to live right alongside with you, and how dare you inflict that upon them.
The only thing I could think of in that situation is them with the power. You know, when people are protesting, there's a lot of, it feels powerful, and people want their agenda. Like, they think they're right because they think they're right about this. They're right. You know, they just. I could just understand how, not for me, but I could understand how it could give someone a false sense of almost like a God type of concept. Like, I'm right about this protest and shit, so my other views are like this. So not that you would ever harm somebody like that for no reason, but it's just like in my head, I'm just trying to think of what other than your effed up insecurities or whatever may cause somebody to want to harm another person that is not like them. I don't know if they were getting caught up in the fact that they think they're right at the moment. I don't know. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, and you want to know and this is how it gets even worse on some systemic shit. They due to the tragedy of that death and whatnot, they tried to organize another march for her, and it was turned down because they said that it would pull away from the George Floyd, as if two ideas can't be fought for.
It's all the same cause.
The fact is, this community is probably not ready for that.
Fuck if they are.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying where people head at with that is it needs to be further than it is. You know,
yo,
we still there with that. Come on, man.
It sounds like we should be. Yeah.
Because in my world, I'm like, yo, you can't ask for equity you can't ask for equity for Black lives if you're not including all Black lives. That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly.
I agree. Yeah, and to me, it's mind blowing that they don't see that.
That's one thing I don't like about the whole thing is that some people think that being Black is one stream of thought. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Black folk are not a monolith. Never have been. Never will be. But I don't know about y'all. I think that's enough on this subject before this gets denser than a dying sun.
I'm sweating my damn shirt out, man.
I need a. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna take a little break. That's not true. We don't have sponsors.
I'm about to take a quick break.
Well, Abeo, I hope we answered your question in a timely manner. If you're listening and want us to discuss something, please email us at informillyyhonestpodcast@gmail.com. Just remember, InforMILLy is spelled INFORMILLY. Also, check us out on YouTube if you prefer to watch podcasts. By watching the videos, you also get photos and little tidbits you can't get via just listening. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the session. Stay safe, subscribe, follow, share, email, comment, send a letter via snail mail, pigeon, etc. Peace.
Truth